how someone with these issues can, slip through the cracks when everyone knows that you have them, it's beyond me.
Welcome back. You just heard there from the brother of a Long Island man, Iraq war veteran, who committed suicide in the Nassau County Jail within just 24 hours after his incarceration. His family, like the 4 others before him, they want answers. Now, how is it that a soldier, as we said, survives a tour of Iraq but doesn't survive 24 hours in lockup at the county jail? Bart Ryan's suicide is in the beginning stages of an investigation, a process that can take up to 13 months. Bart Ryan's death, it was the 5th suicide in that jail in just 24 months. Now, the 4th suicide was this man, 44-year-old Darrell Woody. According to the State Commission of Correction, which oversees, as we said, and investigates all county jails in the state of New York, Darrell Woody died on January 3rd, 2011 from a suicidal hanging. The report stated, quote, Woody's death may have been prevented. It went on to blame what the state called grossly inadequate psychiatric care. And what's even more disturbing, the details in that report. The findings, they tell a gruesome story of a man with a history of mental illness. So desperate was he for his psychiatric medication that he ripped a metal smoke detector off the wall in his jail cell and then repeatedly stabbed himself in the face and neck. 10 days later, he hanged himself. Now, reporter Kim Lengo, she sat down with the Woody family, and she's here now to tell us more about that visit.
That's right, Rich. Well, Darrell Woody was booked at Nassau County Jail on Christmas Day 2010 after pleading not guilty to domestic violence. The Woody family and their attorneys say that Darrell was innocent, and they blame Nassau County for 2 critical mistakes which they say led to their brother's death. 1, that Darrell wasn't properly screened medically and mentally during booking, and 2, that he never received the proper medications. Darrell Woody was the 4th in a string of 5 suicides, and because of that, the Woody family says it's time to make the county pay for its mistakes.
Should never happen to the first person. They should have never let the first person die. I mean, that tells you everything. You got 3 people before him. Then you got 1 after him. If something was done, you would have none of these people dead.
Sonata Woody and her siblings live in Roosevelt, Long Island. They're still grieving the loss of their brother Darrell.
You know, when you look around, he's missed. He's very missed. Look at the smile. Look at the smile. You can't see that no more.
The family says it's been a long and painful year dealing with Darrell's death. Questions still remain as to how and why Darrell committed suicide in the Nassau County Jail.
I think these people need to be exposed, but I don't feel my little brother needed to die if they was doing their job.
What's already been exposed are the graphic details surrounding Darrell Woody's suicide. According to a report published by the New York State Commission of Correction, the first paragraph of the findings says it all, that Woody's death may have been prevented. Listed in the report is what the state calls critical information that wasn't referenced in Woody's intake screening. Critical information like the fact that he told arresting officers that he attempted suicide earlier that day by banging his head into a wall.
My thing was always that they didn't care. Nobody wasn't watching them.
The report also details Woody's first suicide attempt despite the fact that he was kept under constant supervision. It reads, in the early morning hours of December 27, 2010, Woody stepped up onto his bunk and began pulling a piece of metal off a smoke detector cover. Woody stripped naked from his suicide prevention gown and began stabbing himself in the neck, wrists, and face. Corrections officers arrived on the scene and shot 3 one-second bursts of pepper spray into Woody's face. It takes 3 corrections officers and a sergeant to take control of Woody. They handcuff him and bring him to a shower for decontamination. As he's being led from the jail cell, the state report quotes Darrell Woody as saying, I told them when I came in I needed my medication and they didn't give it to me. I did this to get my meds. I'm sorry, but I need them. 10 days later, Woody hanged himself with a bed sheet anchored to medical equipment while on suicide watch at the now-defunct prison ward in the Nassau University Medical Center.
When he tried to commit suicide initially in the correctional center, He said, I did this because I just wanted my meds. It's clear that when he was transferred over to the hospital, the State Commission report clearly sets forth that he was treated improperly and the doctors committed gross negligence in connection with the care he received.
Robert Grunfast is the Woody's family attorney. They're filing a wrongful death claim naming the county, the correctional center, every correctional officer that was on duty at the time of Daryl's admittance, and every doctor that was linked to his care.
The lawsuit is twofold. The lawsuit is brought on Daryl's behalf by his family to, one, try and obtain compensatory damages for the pain and suffering Daryl went through, and two, to try and change the system once and for all. You know, I really think the system is not going to change unless they really get a wake-up call.
It's never going to be nothing done because the county hides everything. Everything is hidden. It'll probably happen again to somebody else before something is done.
The Woody family is seeking $140 million in damages. Rich?
You know, Kim, we go through the part that I still don't get is there was red flags all over the place with this guy. The guy had been in this same jail before. It was no secret to anyone, or at least it shouldn't have been, that he was on medication and he was a threat to himself. So what I'm still at a loss is, how could he have been put in the environment in the first place? Was there a breakdown in communication? Do we know the answers yet?
It seems like there was a breakdown in communication. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, this wasn't the first time that Daryl Woody was at that jail. So his history of mental illness and his history with needing the medications that he needed was clear and on paper. We even know from the investigation that when Daryl Woody was picked up by the police during that incident, that he had told them he attempted suicide earlier that day by banging his head into the wall. And all of this was made clear. The investigation showed that there was a paper trail of this. Somewhere along the way, somebody dropped the ball.
And one of the most haunting things is when they rushed to the cell and he had been stabbing himself with that sprinkler head, he said, all I want are my medications.
Yes.
And he never got them.
He never got them.